guys, and welcome back to the Impact Defense Podcast. And we have Jentry back with us again, but this time your intuition was not as strong as last time because you are not wearing the same shirt I'm wearing.
It'd have really freaked you out if I was, wouldn't it?
It would have. 2 weeks in a row, yes. So Jada is not with us again. She is doing other things right now. So, Jentry has stepped up again. We enjoy having Jentry on the podcast. Mm-hmm. And she's just our constant regular guest. So you have surpassed Steven.
Ooh.
So I always kind of joked around, you and Steven were neck and neck for the most frequent guest we've had on the podcast. And you have definitely surpassed him at this point in time. I don't know what the numbers are anymore.
I'll rub it in. It's okay.
Okay. Yeah. So, all right. So yeah, anyway, let's get to the podcast.
Okay, so in this podcast, we're going to be talking about intuition and awareness.
And using those in your day-to-day life.
Yep.
Because, we can talk about that kind of stuff all the time. But if we don't actually put it in context and actually talk about how to use it in your day-to-day life, then, well, it's not really going to do you a whole lot of good, is it?
Nope.
Okay. We need to get on to our ad. Kylie, stop shooting lasers. Stop it. All right, listen, I know it's fun. I got you. I understand. And I know it's a whole lot cheaper now using ammo. But, if you constantly use the SIRT pistol, nobody else gets a chance to use the SIRT pistol. Put it down.
Out of curiosity, why don't we just use our coupon code with SIRT to get more SIRT pistols so that we can all spend all the time we want using our SIRT pistols?
Actually, that's not a bad idea. So if you actually go to sirtpistol.com and use the coupon code Impact Defense, you get 10% off. Oh, okay.
And I guess we don't get to use the SIRT pistol until we use our own coupon code.
Apparently not. All right. So yes, SIRT, great way to practice. We have 6 or 7 of those guns now at this point in time, and we use those constantly for everything from force on force type of stuff to using it with our simulator and other things. So we're big fans of SIRT. Jada is not with us this week, as we said earlier, and this week Kylie is going to be bringing us our news story of the day.
Woohoo! Welcome to the news portion of the podcast with your host, me. Okay, so this story takes back in 2013 in Pennsylvania. A mentally ill man at the age of 44 rushed into a store while being chased by a group of men after stabbing their friend a few blocks away. In the heat of the moment, the 44-year-old man grabbed a young 16-year-old girl as a hostage. He stabbed her twice and held her knife at the throat and threatening to kill her. Now, a 50-year-old shopper at this point was seeing what's happening and decided to do something about it. So he rushed at the 44-year-old man, wrestled him down to the ground, and got him away from the girl and held him until the police arrived. The girl was not severely injured and survived. Her mother believes that the 50-year-old man to be a hero.
So, yay to the 50-year-old man who jumped in there. That is freaking awesome.
Yeah, it kind of started off a little rocky.
Yeah.
But then had a happy ending, so.
Yeah.
That's why I picked
So the 40, I'm trying to just make sure I got it. So the 44-year-old dude stabbed somebody else.
Yep.
Right? Okay, and then runs into a store.
Yep.
Where he takes this girl hostage and stabs her.
Yes, stabbed her twice. And
then the dude just goes like, I'm taking you down.
He didn't want to allow that to happen.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And I think so many times, well, okay, first off, let's just say that is a really good example of why you need a very full understanding of how to deal with self-defense situations. Because I mean, honestly, if somebody's got a knife to this girl's throat and you pull a gun, well, that girl is in between you and him. What you going to do? Are you going to pull the trigger? If you do and you miss and you hit her, well, that's on you. You've now murdered somebody. It may have been in the process of trying to save her, but you now murdered her. So I think that really is a great story to explain why it is really, really needed to, understand self-defense at all ranges.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are talking about using awareness and intuition in our day-to-day life. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at a few different situations that we find ourselves in normal life, and just say, how can we be safer in this situation? How can we use our intuition? How can we use our awareness and everything else? Because recently we have talked about, and I know we've had a few guests on the podcast, which we love having guests on the podcast. We've had a few guests on the podcast recently. And with these guests, we have, maybe gone off of our original topics, but when we were back together, we're kind of looking at awareness, we're looking at intuition, and now we're kind of using that in our day-to-day life. We looked at like predators, what predators are looking for and all that kind of stuff. So we're really kind of been digging into the mental side of self-defense a lot in these recent ones where it's just been kind of the core people. So today what we want to do is kind of like take a lot of that kind of stuff we've done and say, what does that look like in day-to-day life? So first off, using ATMs. Okay. Now everybody's going to have some different ideas here. And, let's be honest, Kylie is 15. She is not using ATMs.
No.
Okay. So she's probably not going to have an opinion on everything that we talk about. But, I haven't like sat down with Jentry and said, okay, this is what we're going to say. So she and I may have very different ideas on like how to safe is use an ATM, but we'll see if they line up with still using good awareness and good intuition. And I'm confident of that, or I would have sat down and said, listen, Jentry, this is what you're going to say. So what would you say? Best way to use ATMs, all that kind of stuff.
Well, first of all, making sure that there's really no one close to you while you're using the ATM.
That's true. Yep. Agreed.
Maybe kind of look at the ATM before you approach it too.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure no one is sitting in a vehicle watching you.
Yep. All right. What's your thoughts on walk-up ATMs versus drive-up ATMs?
I don't like either one of them, but I'd rather drive up to one. I can get away a lot faster.
Yeah, I agree.
And I can at least have the doors locked behind me, whereas my back's kind of open otherwise.
So the ATMs, you have two options: walk up, drive up, and Jentry says neither.
Right.
Okay.
Just money.
Magically, give me my money out of my account. Okay. I need cash, just like magically appear in my hand.
Right.
Go. Okay. So, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of ATMs. I understand what I get the sentiment. Not a huge fan of ATMs, but they are sometimes necessary in our lives. And I think either one can be okay. It just depends. If it's going to be a walk-up ATM, number one, I know a guy who was going up to an ATM. He was a concealed carry permit holder, but guess what? He wasn't carrying that day because it always seems to be the day you don't carry is the day something bad happens. Mm-hmm. I don't know it would have changed much because the dude goes up, and it was in a town or in a city a little south of where we are. Mm-hmm. He goes up to the ATM, and he's getting his money out of the ATM, and he turns around, and he got pistol whipped. Mm. So he went down. They beat on him. I was supposed to meet the guy the next day. Oh. Yeah, and I knew nothing about it. And we were meeting. I don't know. It was like 2:00 or something. And he sends me a text and said, "Man, I'm going to be just a little late. I just got out of the hospital." And I was like, "What the crap?" And he showed up. Man, he was all busted up and everything. And he told me, he said, "Yeah." He said, I went to an ATM. He said, I was getting money out. He said, I turned around, I got pistol whipped. What happened? He started out by not paying attention what was around him. Mm-hmm. Bad awareness led to a bad day. And so he got busted up, had to have some stitches and everything else. He was in the hospital overnight. Mm-hmm. And they released him when they said that, no real damage was done. It was all superficial, thank God. So anyway, if it's a walk-up ATM, I've done both. If it's a walk-up ATM, I am not going to get up and walk over there to the ATM if someone is either standing around, just play. I don't care if they're standing around playing on their phone. If they are standing near the ATM, I'm going to go to another one unless I absolutely have to. And then when I step up to an ATM, I am going to be very super aware of who and what is around me. Okay. Now, if it's a drive-up ATM, I refuse to go to a drive-up ATM that, you know, like I think a lot of fast food drive-thrus are like this too, where you have one lane that you can go in
and you can't get out.
And you can't get out. If the crap hits the fan, or what was that? If the poo-poo hits the oscillator.
Yes.
If the poo. So we went through the Alive training. That may have been one of my favorite sayings from the Alive training. Not that the information was great, but the Alive, that was like my favorite, like little one-liner saying, whatever. If the poo-poo hits the oscillator. So if that happens and you're sitting in a line where you are barricaded off, especially if you're in a vehicle that you can't jump the curb,
right,
you're screwed. So, you know, if I refuse to go to an ATM like that. There's an ATM close to where I live. And as you pull through, it is a paved little pull around, but there's grass on the other side. And I've visited that ATM a few times. If I pull in and there is somebody in front of me, number one, I give them plenty of room,
right, because
I want them to make sure that they don't feel threatened by me being behind them.
right.
But then if they pull off, I don't just pull immediately up to there. I make sure that when they pull up, that I can't be boxed in. Okay. What you want to do is you want to see the bottom of someone's tires sitting on the pavement. If you can see the bottom of their tires sitting on the pavement, and this goes for anywhere, not just ATMs, stoplights, anyway. If you can see the bottom of their tires on the pavement, then you can make a turn right or left and get out of there. So I make sure that they pull up enough to where if I pull up, I refuse to pull up until they pull on up.
Right.
And I've been in situations there, and it's a small area, little community. I live in a small community, and there's been situations where somebody's pulled up enough for me to get to the ATM, but I would feel kind of boxed in.
Right.
So I'll just pull up a little bit. I'll get my nose in front of the ATM, but then I stop. And the person will just sit there a minute, and then they'll pull on up.
Right.
You know, they're probably just putting money in their wallet or whatever,
Right.
and that's cool. I understand, but I refuse to pull all the way up until I know that I could cut out and move. And that would give me plenty of room because, you know, that one's grass. There's another one here in town where our school is that I will go to every once in a while. And it is just kind of sitting in the middle of a parking lot.
Right.
So if you pull up, same idea. I'm not going to pull into a situation where somebody could box me in by somebody coming in behind me. Then I could just cut out. So number one, if it's walk up, make sure nobody's standing around. If it's drive up, also make sure nobody's standing around, but also make sure you give other room to other vehicles so you can cut out if you need to.
You know, there's also those walk-up ones that have like a glass booth around them. I will not.
I hate those things.
I will not go in those because I'm like, the last thing I need to do is put myself in a box for someone to come straight up.
You're in a box with one entrance and exit.
Right. I don't think I've gone in one of those in over 10 years. I just am like, I'm not doing it.
I have never gone in one of those, actually. I don't believe.
Yeah. There was one that I would go in occasionally, and I just finally, I had to stop. I couldn't handle it anymore.
So before we move on, anything else on ATMs that you can think of?
Definitely not that I can think of.
Not that you can think of? Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Be quick. Don't linger at the ATM.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
I mean,
that's another
just, do what you got to do. Put your money, somewhere secure. You don't have to arrange it while you stand there. Just put it in something and go.
Now, I am the world's worst. I want all of my money in order and facing the same direction.
Right.
Okay? And all right side up. I admit I'm a little bit crazy. It's fine. People listen to the podcast. They get to know me a little bit. So anyway, I'm a little bit crazy. But when I am standing in line at a store, if I am getting money out of an ATM, I just don't put that money in my wallet at the moment.
Right.
I I shove it in my pocket, go back to my vehicle where I can lock my doors, and then I will arrange it.
After you glance around to make sure no one's approaching your vehicle,
Yes.
right? Yep.
So my cousin goes into a Sheetz, actually. Maybe I shouldn't say where it was, but I mean, they're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
At least here in our area. He goes into it, which is the local gas station, the chain of gas stations. So he goes into a Sheetz and ends up getting money back on a card or something like that. And as he's on his way out, and this was like 2 a.m. or something like that, somebody like hit him over the head because he's walking out the door holding the cash, putting it in his wallet.
Yeah.
And they cracked him over the head with something and took his money and ran.
Well,
What cousin was that?
Don't worry about it. All right. Can you think of anything else on ATMs?
not at the moment.
What's next? Is this something that I can talk about?
Yes. How about okay, next on the list is going for walks or runs. I like to go for walks, even if it's around just our downtown area. I like to go for walks. I like hiking.
I don't like that word. Walking is fine. Hiking is not.
Running is not really a possibility for me because
no.
I have.
But for
You're
me
15.
too.
Why is it for you?
I don't like running.
No, that's different. You don't
Said
like it.
possibility for
It's not a
him.
possibility for me. I played baseball for years. I really screwed up my knee. If I go for a run more than, I know you and I were doing that 5K, and to kind of prepare for, it was like an obstacle course 5K. So to kind of prepare for that, we started running every day, and it took about 1 week. No, we were running 3 days a week, and I think it took somewhere between 1 and 2 weeks, and I could not walk for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, I could walk, but I mean, I was hobbling around. I couldn't walk normal for a long time. So I had to switch to go from that to doing something that was to kind of getting me ready for this. That was something a lot easier on my knee.
Right.
I was riding an exercise bike. I was doing a, one of those things. Elliptical. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Still working on that mind reading, but you know.
Yeah. But like walks, I love walking. I love hiking, all this stuff like that. So how can we keep ourselves safe when we're doing stuff like that? Especially if you walk or run for exercise purposes by yourself.
Some people a lot of time listen to like music while they're doing it.
True.
And one thing that you probably need to do is at least take one earbud out.
Yeah,
That way you're listening to what's going on around you, knowing what's going on around you and everything.
Yeah. Nothing pisses me off more than hearing a self-defense instructor or someone who claims to be a self-defense instructor go, I hear that people say you either shouldn't listen to music or only listen to music with one earbud in. And I just don't want to tell people that they can't enjoy their lives. Okay. I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, you're a self-proclaimed self-defense instructor. And you are telling people just to ignore a general safety measure and just go ahead. How stupid is that?
Pretty stupid.
I mean, really. So, yeah, first off, I am totally for, if I like go for a walk, for, a run or whatever, bike, whatever, for the sake of exercise. Yep. I like to listen to music. It is much easier to exercise when you're listening to music. Mm-hmm. It is. So if you're doing that, definitely, go for it. But just, put one earbud in so you can actually listen to things going on around you. Or there are some of the nicer ones that you get have the transparency mode. Mm-hmm. I'm cool with that. Where you can hear things that are going on around you. That's cool. You want to put 2 earbuds in, make sure you do it with a transparency mode where you can hear and it's not canceling out the noise that's going on around you.
Right.
You need to know what's going on. Now, I think with that too, people get completely and totally
like zoned in to just looking just straight dead on.
When Kylie's about to come out with an idea because she goes,
Uh-huh.
I got a thought.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
You're great. That's fun.
Where they're just like
I enjoy it.
completely like zoned into just like looking straight and not looking like side to side.
Yeah, pay
or
attention.
Looking behind.
If you're going for a walk or a run in a city,
I'm always looking around to make sure that no one's following me.
yeah, look around, look for sketchy people. But yeah, if you're going to be on roads or on a city and sidewalks or whatever, you need to make sure you're not going to get your butt run over.
Yeah.
So anyway, anything else on going for walks or runs?
Have something that you can use for a weapon.
Yes, thank you.
Something.
Yeah.
No matter what it is.
Pepper spray, friggin' like a flashlight.
Mm-hmm.
And people talk about flashlights a lot. I was like, why a flashlight? I don't understand why a flashlight. I mean, really, why a flashlight?
For those of you listening,
He
Dad
just blinded us.
just blinded.
Us. I just blinded you.
You.
Kyle's on the complete other side of the table. I couldn't have got both of you.
I thought you turned it on her, but I was blind, so I couldn't see.
So I'm a huge fan of self-defense flashlights because they are made in such a way where you can
Blind the person.
blind the person. They're really bright.
I'm trying to look at you, but there's still spots.
Yeah, I know. I did that to Kylie like 3 times last night.
Yeah.
I was just excited because I charged it up again. I have a rechargeable battery in mine, and it was not dead, but like I turned it on a couple of days ago. And I was like, oh, holy crap, this is like dim.
I couldn't
It's not
see for
dim
like
now.
a solid 20 seconds.
It's definitely not dim now. Yeah, so that works if you're going to do that in the early morning or the evening. Okay, don't think it's the greatest thing in the world
In the
in the
daytime.
middle of the day.
Yeah.
Because your eyes are adjusted to that.
Yeah.
But even if you still have it, those things are also generally made out of pretty high grade aluminum. So you can use them for striking, and they can, I didn't know what she was doing over there. And they can strike and do some serious damage, or at least do enough damage to help you get away. I think most of these cases are, you carry yourself in such a way. Anyway, I don't want to wrap up things. We got 2 more things to talk about. Anything. So yeah, have something, tactical pen, flashlight, pepper spray, something. Carry that with you while you're going for a walk or a run.
I want a tactical flashlight.
You want a tactical flashlight? We'll see. Maybe you can do a review on a new one or something like that.
Can you use it responsibly without randomly
If-
blinding people?
Oh, she is my daughter.
He has done it to me like a gazillion times.
I blinded her like 4 or 5 times last night. So we were
Like there was
we
a
were
solid
family.
line that I saw. Like
that wasn't
for,
my fault.
like-
That wasn't
I know.
your uncle's fault. My brother,
Of course, he had to join in the fun.
he did. After I got her one time with it, then he jumped up and he was like, "Oh, what's wrong, Kylie?" And then he blinded her with his.
I wouldn't expect any less.
Yeah. And then my dad was saying something, so I was like, "What?" He was like, "Oh, okay, I understand."
And then I did it at him.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just been a fun. Yeah, Kylie took my flashlight and did. So maybe you can, maybe we can make it a business thing, and you can do a review on another one.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm down for that.
Kylie's, I don't mind if I get a flashlight out of it. Of course. All right. Anything else on walking or running from either one of you? One earbud out or put it in transparency mode. Pay attention to what's going on around you. Look around so you don't get run over, followed, kidnapped, or beat up. And then carry something for self-defense with you when you're going, be it a flashlight, or a thing of pepper spray. Make sure it's a good quality pepper spray. Don't get the crappiest thing on Amazon, please. Some of that stuff really does not work that well. It's just like if you're going to get a flashlight, get a good flashlight. Because if you get a crappy flashlight, then what ends up happening is it didn't matter. I've seen flashlights on, oh, it's 2,500 lumens. Well, that's not the only thing that matters. Okay. Now, lumens are important, but that's not all of it. We don't perceive all of the brightness if it's I don't. We'll have to do one because I've it's been a little while, but we did a breakdown thing on looking at a lot of that kind of stuff, and I'll have to go back and look at it again. We might have to do a whole podcast on tactical flashlights. I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
So lumens is just one part of it. You need to actually look at everything. Get a quality. The main thing is
Good quality.
get a good quality tactical flashlight. Okay, if you're going to use one, using elevators. You are in a box with a stranger.
First of all, when you have the opportunity to get into the elevator, if there's already someone in there that looks a little sketchy, just don't get in.
Yeah.
Just don't.
You can make up an excuse.
You can't. Oh, I forgot something.
Yeah.
And you run away and don't get in.
Well, walk away. Don't make it seem like you're scared of them.
Oh, I forgot something. Ah!
You can, in a rush, go get what you forgot.
Yeah. So you're on vacation or something like that, which is where that happens most of the time. Maybe you live in an apartment building. Yeah, I don't know. But basically, the elevator opens up and you look and you see somebody and they look sketchy. Yeah, just immediately go, crap, I can't believe I forgot such and such.
I have a story for that one, too.
You do?
I do.
Okay. Let's get the safety things out,
That's
what we
fine.
think, and then I'll hear your story because I'm interested. Now, what if everything seems on the up and up and then all of a sudden you get into the elevator? How do you make, or maybe you're already on the elevator and somebody sketchy gets on the elevator. Okay, well, for one thing, if you're on the elevator and someone sketchy gets on the elevator,
You can get off.
you can get off
Yeah.
and catch the next one.
Mm-hmm.
You can just act like
This is where I was going anyway.
that's not that big of a deal. So that's a possibility. But what if you are stuck on the elevator with somebody you find to be a little bit sketchy?
Try to create as much space as you can between you and that person.
Yeah. I think look confident,
Yeah.
you know, give them the perception that you are going to put up a fight. And maybe if you're, number one, be close to the controls.
Yes.
Okay. So you get into an
Be
elevator.
on the side with the elevator.
Yeah.
Buttons.
Be on the side of the elevator while you're in an elevator.
Buttons.
Yeah, I know. So you get into an elevator, post yourself near the controls and stay there. You take control of the controls. Too many people are sitting there going, whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, be there near the controls. And then that way, if you go like, oh, whoops, and hit a button, maybe somebody just makes you feel a little weary about it. Maybe they're getting off on the ground floor, you're getting off of the ground floor, and you're just like, I don't know, just something about this person just makes me feel a little weary. Hit them really close, hit a button that's really close. Okay. And when it stops, get off.
Yep.
Okay. So, that would be a possibility as well. Goes back to maybe have something like pepper spray or something on you anyway, but that's aside from the point. We're talking about awareness and instincts and all of that kind of stuff. Trust your gut, as we've been talking about. All right, let's hear your story, unless you've got something else for elevators.
No, I can go ahead and go to the story.
Okay.
My sister was in the hospital after she'd given birth to one of her kids, and I had gone to visit her. And when I was leaving, I was headed to the elevator to go down, and I stepped in the elevator. And as I turned around, I noticed that there were two rather large men that were over by the waiting area. When they saw me go in. They immediately came over and got in the elevator with me. I was like, well, crap. What am I going to do? I can't really do anything. My gun's not in the hospital with me. I couldn't bring it in.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm unarmed, and there are two of them. So as we go to get out of the elevator, they start asking me questions. Like, so what are you here for? Where do you live? Just questions they had no business asking.
I never like it when people ask where you live.
So when we got off of the elevator, we were both all three of us were getting off on the ground floor. Instead of going towards the parking lot, because I had a good ways to walk across that parking lot by myself, I turned and went towards the gift shop. So they just kind of looked at each other. You could tell they were trying to decide what they were going to do. And they both went out the front door. And one stood on each side of the entrance of the sliding doors at the entrance and just stood there. So I was like, well.
Lots of sketchy behavior there.
Lots of sketchy behavior.
Yeah.
And even at one point, I remember one of them said, do we worry you? I don't remember.
See, I don't like questions like that.
And I don't remember.
That's almost like that we were talking about the last podcast where the guy says, I'm not going to hurt you.
Yeah. And I just laughed and I was like, no. And I don't remember where in the their attempted conversation with me that came in, but they said it before we got out of the elevator. So anyway, I went to the gift shop and I just kind of stayed where they couldn't see me, but I could glance back every now and then and see if they were still at the entrance. And they were still, one on each side of the entrance, just outside the door. there was a security guard at the desk. And so I went up to him and I told him everything that had happened. And I pointed to him. I said, they're still standing there. He's like, okay. He said, I guess I need to walk through the parking lot for a little while anyway. Let's go. And he took the initiative and he walked me out through the parking lot. And the guys were, it was obvious when we walked between them going out through there that they knew that that's why I had a security guard with me. You know, did I want to have to ask somebody to help me get to my car? No. I'm perfectly capable of getting to my car on my own, and I really didn't want to have to ask for help. But in that instance, I felt like it was pretty obvious that they were up to something.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't worth not being willing to ask for someone to help.
Yeah.
So he walked me to my car. But it was a very odd situation. And it was one of the few times that I've been uncomfortable in an elevator. But I was very, very uncomfortable in that one.
Yeah. I've been in situations like that. This is probably not the brightest situation to be in. But, you know, using kind of a lot of the rules of staying near the buttons.
Right.
You know, keeping my head up, paying attention to what other people are doing.
Right.
Not looking like an easy target.
Right.
You know, that kind of stuff. You know, every once in a while I hear somebody talk about wearing shirts that make it look like you train. Okay, you're wearing Impact Defense shirt. I'm wearing Impact Defense shirt. Kylie's wearing an Impact Martial Arts shirt. You know, wearing these things that make it look like you make it look like you train or something like that. And I've heard guys go, you really shouldn't do that. Or I've actually heard some people say, you really shouldn't do that because then it just makes people like want to challenge you.
For those that heard my story about what happened to me and my kids in the grocery store when the 4 men came up and surrounded us, at least 2 of my children were wearing Impact hoodies at the time. And I'm willing to say that probably influenced their decision to leave us alone.
Yeah. So I think what happens a lot of times in situations like that, I've heard people say, oh, you shouldn't do that. I've had people go, I was wearing this shirt and I was at Walmart and somebody goes, oh, you think you can kick my butt? And so you get like stupid challenges like that every once in a while. People that are doing that generally are just stupid and are not really out to attack you.
Yeah, those are not the people you really have to worry about.
Yeah. The people you have to worry about are the people go like, okay, who's going to put up a fight because I want to shove them in my van?
Right.
I mean, really. Okay. All right. Using public transportation. You have a very
I don't know when the last time I used public transportation was.
Really? I don't think Kylie has ever been on public transportation at all.
No.
Again, we live in a small town, and you know, it wasn't until just a couple of years ago that I even realized there was a bus system in this town.
There is.
Yep.
I was on a bus the beginning of 2016.
Really?
I'm pretty sure that was the last time I've been on public transportation.
I'm trying to think. I was in a cab in New York. So a couple of times.
I've only been in a cab once, and that was in Mexico.
I've never been in a cab.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think I want to.
Cabs in Mexico are interesting.
Really? Yeah. So I think a lot of the same rules apply, though. You know, I've been in two cabs in New York. One was completely by myself, and one was with there was other people. Some I knew, some I did not. So, and that one was more like a town car. We shared a town car to an airport as we had a bunch of people leaving from a big conference that I was at, and that was kind of an interesting situation. Super stupid expensive. So that was like, I don't know. Anyway, that's not listen, if you're going to be in a town car or in New York or a cab in New York, just get ready to pay a lot of money. But that has nothing to do with what this conversation is about. But just know it's expensive. My gosh. So I thought I had it all worked out. Anyway, aside from that, you know, it's, if you have any, and I say a cab, the first one I was in was not really technically a cab. It was more like a driver service, like an Uber or something like that. So it felt a little more sketchy to me than like a cab. But I was in there by myself. And, you know, you have smartphones at this point in time. And most of the time you can kind of see, where are we and where are we going?
Right. And is this the way we should be
and
going?
this is the way we should be going. And you can kind of keep an eye on stuff like that pretty simply. That's aside from the fact of just like your general awareness and everything else.
Right.
If they pick up some other people, you know, you got to watch and kind of keep track of other things that are going on. And if you are, you know, really a lot of the same rules apply. Don't look like a target.
Right.
You know, so when I was in that driver service from the airport to my hotel in New York, the guy was asking me a lot of questions. But, you know, it's like, oh, what are you here for? I'm here for a conference. Oh, what kind of conference are you here for? And, you know, I don't want to act like that was my first time in New York, but I didn't want him to know that. I didn't want him to think that, I was like, but yeah, I'm here for a martial arts business conference. Oh, you martial arts? Yeah. So I'm a martial arts and self-defense instructor. You know, let's drop as many of these things as possible. So you don't think just immediately that, oh, okay, easy target, you know? So do things that make you not look like an easy target. Be aware of what's going on. If you are weary in any way about because it was before like Uber. I think it was Uber. I don't remember what it was, but it was like really before it was like really, I think now it's a lot better. I think the biggest thing about Uber now is it's the driver safety, not the passenger safety.
Right.
But like at this point in time, like I said, that wasn't Uber. It was something else. And it was really not as regulated and looked at. So, you know, I'm sitting there watching, where are we? Where should we be? All this kind of stuff. But just a lot of the same kind of stuff, you know, as everything else. Be aware. Use your intuition. If you feel like you need to get out sooner, then get out. You can always find another car. Probably. You know, on buses, subways, stuff like that. Guess what? A lot of the same stuff. If you look at videos of attacks on things like that, usually it's people who are not paying attention. People are drawing the bad attention to themselves. You know, something like be smart on a lot of those situations, be aware, and move away from trouble people.
Where should they sit while they're on the bus?
I would prefer to sit near the door or in the very back.
Yeah.
We always went to the very back just so that we could see everything that was going on.
And there's usually an
I would
emergency
think
exit
that.
And
door
there's
back
an
there.
emergency exit.
So I either want to be right near the door or at the very back where I can see everything. But I want a quick escape.
Yes.
No matter what, I want a really quick escape. So.
That's what I was thinking, is sitting in the back.
Yeah. I have been on a bus like that a few times, and that's just kind of generally my thing is, and usually I sit like toward the back, real close. I'm within the last 3 rows if at all possible. So, all right. You know, we didn't discuss planes, but I guess planes would be a part of public
You
transportation.
don't really have a choice where you sit on a plane.
A lot of
but
times you do not.
everything else pretty much applies.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's hear from one of our absolute favorite sponsors, because they are the ones that hooked us up with all of this awesome new gear.
Faith.
Freedom.
Cars.
Martial arts.
Coffee.
You can find t-shirts for all this stuff and more. Where can they find that, Kylie?
At faithandfreedom.clothing.
Oh, by the way, if you use the coupon code Impact Defense, you will get 10% off of that.
Ooh. We should better use that then.
What was that voice?
I don't know.
Okay. So to get away from Kylie's voices here, let's go ahead and say faithandfreedom.clothing.
Okay, so just to kind of wrap everything up and everything that we've hit on today, we started out talking about ATMs, making sure there's nobody around when you're going to an ATM, making sure you're paying attention, and really making sure that you're getting back to your vehicle or wherever you're going as quickly as possible. not standing around with your money everywhere, flashing it around. Just make it as quick as you can and be as careful as you can to really know what's going on around you. If you're going for a run or something, we're going to make sure we've got a weapon of some sort that we can use. Maybe keep one earbud out at least so that we can hear what's going on around us. And we really want to keep our eyes up and open looking around. What do we cover after that? Elevators.
Mm-hmm.
Elevators. You can get off the elevator and you don't have to get on the elevator. So know what's going on around you before you get on it. Know what's going on around you as you're getting onto it. Get off if you need to. And remember to stay close to the controls because that way you can stop the elevator if you need to and get off. And for public transportation, pay attention to where you're going. Does it look like you're going where you're supposed to be headed? Just being aware of who's in there with you, making sure that you are aware, they know that you're aware, and that you're going to put up a fight if necessary. Don't be afraid to put up a fight. Don't be afraid of making a scene anywhere because it could save your life.
Absolutely. In all honesty, a lot of this can be, all of it boils down to your awareness and your intuition, trusting those things, being aware and trusting your intuition, but also looking like and walking around like you know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Walk around with some confidence.
Yes.
I tell people constantly, even if you're not super confident in yourself, walk around like you are, and people are going to mess with you a lot less. Mm-hmm. Learn to fake it.
Yep.
If you guys are enjoying this podcast, go ahead and go over to Apple Podcasts, rate us, and please write a review. And if you don't have Apple Podcasts, at least go on YouTube and leave a comment.
Yeah, leave a comment. If you are hearing this and you say, hey, listen, I have left a review elsewhere, send me an email with that at brian@impactdefense.online. That will help out tremendously. And that way I'll be able to see that, hell, there's this whole other space over here. We're getting reviews. I know like some other ones have like the star reviews, and I've seen we've gotten like some like 5-star reviews or something like that on some other platforms, but I have not seen where any of them are doing actually like written reviews, but I could be completely and totally off. I have no idea. So, all right, guys. So thank you very much for listening, and we will see you in the next episode.
See ya.
Bye.